Welcome to the FORE Podcast. I am your host, Greg Pattison, and along with co-hosts Eric Miller and Joey, a.k.a. Semi Madrid, we're going to be talking tonight with Doug Montgomery, Class A, PGA of America professional, and master club fitter, giving you all the insights you need if you're looking to either redo the weapons in your bag or get yourself some new ones. You're not going to want to miss this. So get ready. The FORE starts now. Doug Montgomery, Class A professional, and the one member of the FORE team who has not won the club championship at Walnut Creek Golf Preserve in Westminster, Colorado. But that's because
he started off thick, didn't he?
He's the PGA professional,
right to it.
And we're just all worshiping.
That is cutthroat, isn't
worshiping
it,
the man.
That was kind of like a flaming dart. Just zing,
Bazinga.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
wow, but you're right.
But
price of that Rogue went up, I bet.
It did. So is club fitting only for us scratch golfers that are here in the room?
Actually, no. It's the higher your handicap, the more benefits you get out of club fitting. It's kind of opposite of what most people think. But you give somebody like Eric, a very good player, you give him a rake and a shovel and about 10 minutes on the range to get used to him, and he's going to go out and shoot a pretty good score. You get someone who's, a 90s player, a high 80s player, and that off-the-shelf equipment can really quickly start to become a detriment. We've got to make sure we've got the right length and the right shaft and the right lie angles, and there's so many different components that go into this now, and with the advent and every year the software on launch monitors changes, and it tells us more information than we had before, and it tells us how incorrect some of the techniques we were using for club fitting and some of those philosophies we were using, how incorrect those are. And so the best results, the biggest gains we see is kind of from your average everyday golfer, that person who's going to shoot 85 to 95. We see significant differences.
Well,
and I can speak to that. One of our good friends, Lenny Matthews, just recently came out and got a new driver from Doug and a new sand wedge, and Lenny's always struggled out of the sand. He finally got the right technique and really a wedge that fit his game, and he's a bunker player now.
The other night after a Monday night game, he was talking about how far he hit it and straight he was hitting it, and the other people were talking about it. So that's you're right. It's definite improvement. It helped my wife. It helped it helps many others that are there for sure. And I think big gains really. Doug, I mean, big gains are relative in the game of golf, right? A big gain to Dustin Johnson is 0.2.
Absolutely right.
Right?
Yep.
And that's huge, and a change to that piece. When I've had a chance to talk to some folks about the stuff that Got Golf and Doug and Brian have done for me and my weapons. And I when I was in Ohio last year, I really screwed up my old boss. Like I messed him up bad. We were in the car off to go play golf, and I told him what some of the things that you had done to my clubs, Doug, like my 8-iron being my favorite club in my bag, and then you made my my 4-iron down to my 60 degree. Every one of them feel like they're my 8-iron, and I could swing them like they're my 8-iron. And I didn't have the standard up, down, the general people, I have 1 degree upright and I have 1 degree to whatever they are. Each one, is fit to the right angle and the right shafts and the kicks and tipping and all the stuff that goes on. And he goes, I can't even play golf now. He's like, every club in my bag's terrible. He's like, I want to go to the store right now. I'm like, no, that's a bad thing. No. I was like, first of all, you got to fly out here to Denver, Colorado. So for those of you that are listening, come on out. It's there's most one-way flights to Denver, by the way, from just about anywhere here in the U.S. Money. And what are you guys? 5 minutes from the airport? 10?
Yeah, about 10 minutes
10 by
from the
shuttle.
Airport. Yep.
It's well worth it. So check out Golf, GOTT golf.com, And, if you're out in the Denver area, definitely look them up. But that's, I mentioned the store. He wanted to run out to the store and buy something. And we've all done it, right, Joe? I mean, we've, especially when, you get the bug about something like, oh, man,
I got to have it.
I got to have it.
It's been a little while, but yeah, definitely know that bug.
I got to
sure.
have it. If somebody's looking for a good club fitter, what should they be looking for? Because most people, and it's still good, they're good. I'm not knocking on anybody, but I think most people are now going to walk into the superstore, the PGA Superstore, Golf Galaxy, Dick's now. I don't know if Dick's is doing custom fitting, but
they are.
You guys are boutique and niche and specialize in it, but either they walk in there or they get online. If somebody says, "Hey, you know what? I want to custom fit my clubs. I'm a 19 handicapper. I don't know really anything about golf other than I just love going out and playing it." And Doug Montgomery just said, I am the person that will benefit most by getting custom clubs fit. What should they be looking for, and what should they be aware of, and what should they run from, I guess?
Boy, what a loaded question. One of the things that makes us at Gut Golf so unique or so different is we are a facility where we actually are hitting a ball from inside to outside. So we have a wonderful facility, big garage door opens up, and we're actually hitting golf balls out on the range. So when you come for your driver fitting or your iron fitting, we get to see all the data that the launch monitor provides for us. But one of the most important things is to see what the golf ball does once it leaves the fitting bay. And while those facilities where you can go and get club fit that don't have that opportunity, they're going to do the very best they can, but there is no substitute for actually watching the golf ball fly. And so that's one thing that we really kind of are very proud of, and something we worked very hard to achieve, is to make sure that extremely important piece of club fitting is available to us. And then that's probably the biggest difference you're going to see between a custom club fitter and maybe one of the big box stores is I have unlimited numbers of products that are available, to me to fit you: irons, drivers, shafts, putters. There's nothing we can't really do. When you walk into one of the big box stores, they do absolutely the very best they can, but they don't have 400 shafts on the wall to choose from. If you're interested in brand X's driver, you might get a 60 gram, a 70 gram, and maybe something in a 45 or a 50 gram that's either a senior or a ladies flex. And so they're doing the very best they can, but it's kind of one of three options. And when you come to see, we're an independent club fitter, and there's a number of us throughout the United States that do this. There's lots of different options, lots of different combinations we can put together, not just the three that come from brand X. That will try to squeeze you into something. It's certainly better than just running into the store and buying something off the shelf and walking out the door.
What about buying 3 wedges for like $80 online? It's not a good idea.
It's typically no, because it's there you're looking at it's an approach. It's kind of a one size fits all approach, right. And again, they do the absolute best they can. And if you told me that that's what I had to do, tomorrow I had to sell a whole bunch of wedges online, they're all going to be pretty vanilla, because I have to try to fit, Mrs. Habekamp, and I got to try to fit the better golfer. And so, but that's the beauty of the custom fitting arena now, is there's enough custom fitters out there, and people who are certified by different manufacturers is one great thing to look for when you're trying to qualify a club fitter. What's their level of training? Interview your club fitter. Don't just walk in and throw money down on the table and say, here you go, because you don't really want to buy a custom fit set of clubs from a used car salesman who just happens to know how to run the launch monitor. So interview your club fitter, find out what they know, what their areas of expertise are, where they're certified, and then if that situation feels comfortable to you, then move ahead with that fitting, and you're going to end up with great results.
Yeah, wonderful. Eric, you've obviously been fit by Doug, and
I have
some stuff there. You're a customer. What did you see? What made you, want to go with them? And
I've been out what's it been, 4 times now?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5.
Probably next year again. My irons are getting worn. And it's really 3 things. I think one I could take from each little session that we've had. The first time I went out there and I bought a driver, and that one was really, time wasn't a factor. I was able to go out, hit 3-4 driver heads, hit 7-8 different shafts until I found the one that I liked. It might not have had the best numbers. It might not have looked the best to the system, but it was the one that was the best that I liked. And I wasn't pushed into something else. I pay you in whiskey, so I do go out there more than 2 or 3 times because I do pay you in whiskey. Really, the last time I went out, as I said, I would never hit a hybrid. I couldn't find a hybrid that I liked. Couldn't do it. I don't like to look down and see markings on the top of the club head. I want it completely black, completely bare. But really, it was hitting 2 or 3 different club heads, and I was never told the information until I relayed the information back. So it was really me fitting my own club into something that I liked, and it turned out that what I liked was what worked best for me. But it was really like I was fitting my own club. I wasn't being fitted by somebody else.
Yeah. I don't know, Sevy, you got anything in your bag from Doug?
Not officially. Not that we've gone out, out to Got Golf and actually hit. Like the one time I got fitted was the 3 of us were playing. Me, you, and Greg were playing, and you were like, asked me to look at my shaft, and you're like, you need a different shaft. And it was the stock shaft. It was the Costco shaft of the Fujikura or whatever. And you threw a demo on it. I think we went and played the very next day, and the ball was lower, straighter. It didn't have my duck hook left. Even when I did, it wasn't nearly as severe. But really, that's the only club that I have one other club I've been fit on where I had a launch monitor. Everything else was, like you said, just going buying it off the rack. Or like I was the one that bought the 3 wedges for $80 just because I didn't want to, drop a 100 whatever it is, per club, just because. I mean, I'm not, I at the time I wasn't taking it as seriously, but it was like, maybe I need to, if I get fitted, maybe I will, like we were talking earlier, maybe I will break par for 18 finally or something. So, but we've talked about going out there. It's just schedule-wise it hasn't worked out, but I know that's where my game is lacking for sure is the fitting of it. Like I have to change my swing a little bit to fit the shafts where he could take the shaft and the club head to fit my swing. I don't have to change anything, which I think will make it a lot smoother, a lot easier to hit better shots. As easy as it can be for golf. So
it's a confidence thing.
Confidence, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Big part of it.
It's confidence. I've got a driver in my club that I know. There's other ones out there, but I know that this one specifically fits my golf swing.
Yeah, that's actually you bring that up. But before I forget, I gotta tell you, if we call him Sevy off of his 3 wedges for $80. Maybe he's not allowed to go see it.
Doug's closing down.
So
you'll just get that much better.
I was telling him that. I was telling him earlier we were talking. I was like, yeah, I need, because I was joking about it, like on our text message that we had or whatever, and I was joking about it. And I've been doing a lot more chipping and stuff especially after the weekend during the 4-ball. My chipping was atrocious, and I kept hitting the ball trying to get it to stop, and there was no spin, there was nothing. I'm sitting there cleaning the grooves with my keys, like trying to do something to get, and there was just nothing. So it's.
How often should you rotate wedges out of your bag for guys like Joey, Greg, and myself who maybe on average are going to play 36 holes a week, maybe go hit balls once or twice a week? What's a good range of time to because the last thing we, like as Joey just said, the last thing we want is to have 100 yards into the green and we're throwing a wedge because the thing landed and kept rolling.
Yeah. Titleist just did some research, and Greg, we'll make this my homework for next time, and we can find out exactly what they said and what they did, because it was really interesting. But it's obviously completely dependent on how often you hit the wedge. So if you're a weekend golfer and you get to play on a Saturday and you play 3 weekends in the summertime, your wedges will last quite a while. But for more avid golfers like we are, you'd be surprised at how quickly the performance of your wedge starts to degrade. And I won't remember this exactly, but it was something like after 12 rounds of golf, your wedges lost 25% of their spin potential. And so,
wow.
and we all get used to it over time,
wow.
right? Because the one thing we always comment on when you get a new wedge is, this thing spins unbelievable. I sucked it back all
absolutely.
these. But you never talk about when your wedge is entering the end of its life that, I hit this thing and it rolls 25 feet no matter what kind of shot I'm trying to hit. Because you get used to that degradation in performance over time, and you just don't realize that it's not performing like you thought it was until you get the brand new wedge, and all of a sudden it's, holy crap, this thing is really spinning. Yeah. And so I'll find out what that number was, but it was astonishing that you lose a significant amount of performance in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, it's no
So you're
doubt.
like a car salesman. You lose all your value, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Here. And he said, well, you need to go see Doug at Got Golf, because what you need to have is confidence with every club you have in your bag. And that was the approach, so that I could say, oh, good, I like this one, I like everyone. And my experience, folks, if you're looking for for a club fitter, is when I went there to these guys specifically, and I was educated. I was taught about the different products. I understood what shafts did and the difference in them. And you look now, look, Sergio just made the switch. I mean, all these guys make a switch. Tiger puts new irons in, or somebody puts it in. I mean, they can do it now because the technology's easy to make the change to, but you can see the numbers. The numbers were there. So I was educated. So make sure they can educate you on what you're looking at, and the benefits, and then the launch monitor, actually going through the numbers with me and learning what smash factor meant, a launch angle and spin rate, and what was good and what was bad, and then knowing it, and I liked that you've handed me clubs and I'll hit it and I'll be like, no, that's not it. And it might be some crazy expensive one or some cheap one or whatever, but it gives you this feel of, what is right and what is wrong. And when I, probably the first year, and I still say it to people, people ask me, oh, what do you like about, Doug or those guys, or how they help you, stuff like that. And I said, well, first of all, they didn't spend my money. I was like, that's cool. They didn't spend it. And you did. When I showed up the very first time, I think I was playing Titleist musclebacks. And, you said, hey, for $50, we can make these work. Right? And we're like, here's what we're going to do. And, I just learned the benefits and we went for it. So I think, that's, really it's education, both on the product and, what the numbers mean. And, through that process, you'll realize that, the money you're spending, is really the right dollar, and nobody's spending it for you. The other piece I would tell you is, don't do the standard 1 degree upright and flat. And so, Doug, I'll kick it back over to you.
Everything's a little different.
Yeah. Explain that to our listeners, why they shouldn't be. Just give me a 1 degree upright. I'm 5'11".
Explain that to me too, because
Yeah. So, back to kind of what we talked about a minute ago, Joey, with the one size fits all type of club. So any of the major manufacturers, you're trying to produce a lot of golf clubs to get distributed throughout the world. So you do the very best you can, because you simply don't have time to do things on an individual basis. Right. So it's 1 up, 2 up. Ping uses a color system. Everybody else uses, a degree system, 1 or 2 or 3 up or down. One of the issues that you run into is there isn't an industry standard. And so 1 degree up in Titleist is not necessarily a 1 degree up in Mura, which wouldn't be a 1 degree up in Epon, and it wouldn't be a 1 degree up in Ping. And so when you say, I used to play Titleist and they were 1 ups, so get me 1 ups, it might be right and it might not be right. So the other big thing that we notice is each one of the shafts that are in your irons are performed differently. Your 3-iron shaft is longer obviously, than your pitching wedge is, and the club head is lighter weight than your pitching wedge head is. And so just pure physics, the dynamic forces that are acting on that shaft in a 3-iron are different than they are on a pitching wedge. And that being the case, that shaft will flex differently, it will pronate differently, it will react completely differently, potentially. And so the way we do it when we custom fit is when you come in and pick your clubs up, we don't have you hit a 6-iron, it's 1 degree upright, and I bend all of your clubs 1 degree up. You get to hit every single one of your clubs. Because when you leave Joey, I want you to have a Joey custom fit set of clubs. It's not a 1 degree up set. This is a set that's built specifically for you, the way you swing. And the other thing that's to kind of prove the point is that, for example, if you were 1 degree upright and Eric was 1 degree upright, you don't necessarily load the shaft the same way. And so at impact, the shaft is doing different things for you than it is at Eric. And so a 1 degree up isn't necessarily going to be the right answer for both of you. It could be very different. And so that's why we swing every single club. Every person swings every one of their clubs, and then we bend them accordingly.
Yeah. I think my 3-iron is 1.5 upright, and I think my 8-iron is flat. To speak to that.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought, like, from what I remembered when I was looking into clubs, was they just did the 1 degree on every single one, and that was it, or what, that was all.
Yeah. So that's how it was everywhere I went until I went.
Yeah, that's the
now
fast
may still
and
be
easy way to do it.
They may still be doing that now. I don't know because I haven't bought anything from them.
Are you really going to go get a Rogue?
I don't know.
Greg or
Probably.
Yes.
Doug, will he hit it farther than me with a Rogue?
He will have a Rogue soon.
Probably.
Will he hit it past me then?
I really am.
I'm trying to figure out if I got to go get a Rogue.
Yeah.
Well, yes, Eric.
I usually wait for Generation 1 to go through, and then I get Generation 2.
I got a question. If let's
you
say
won't hit it any farther.
Let's say my irons, no, not my driver, just
I'm
my
not
iron,
hitting
my
it.
pitching wedge through 4-iron. Let's say I bought it used off of a rack that my cousin sent me in a picture, and I've been playing those since. How many strokes do you think I'll gain if I go get fitted properly?
That's another loaded question.
Yeah, it really is. And again, the higher your handicap is, the more strokes it will take off of your game.
Right.
So, Joey, you being a better player, you're talented enough to know every time I hit my 8-iron, it draws about 5 yards left.
Mm.
Every time I hit my 7-iron, for some reason, I hit this little squirt that just kind of goes maybe 6 or 7 yards to the right. So you make accommodations for your golf equipment so that you can end up with the result that you're after.
Right.
So when we go through and we build a custom set, or even more simply, we just adjust the lie angles to the set you currently have. Now it's the exact same swing with every single club that produces exactly the same result.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I did get mine used from a picture. Just
Material
I've
is
done it. It's called eBay.
Yeah, I've done it too.
Yeah, and depending what the material is and how often you play, if you have a forged set of irons, it's a softer metal, and they will bend. If you travel on airplanes all the time, I mean, there's lots of different ways. You heat them up in the trunk, and then you go get mad and you slam it against a tree. There's all kinds of different ways to change the lie angles unintentionally. And so it's something that should be checked about once a year. And it's amazing how much the clubs can move.
Right.
If you have a cast set of irons, they're much less apt to move, but they still do. We can still bend them. We can still make sure the lie angle is correct for you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get down there as soon as I can.
I'll go with you.
Absolutely.
Because I need to do that this year.
I have to. I need to get the wedges, and I need to look at those graphite shafts that we were talking about.
Well,
and make sure.
The fun thing when people come and do even just a simple loft and lie check is how big their eyes get when they realize that currently, let's say that they're a standard person, that their 7-iron's 2 degrees flat, and their 3-iron is 3 degrees upright, because I bought them used off of eBay, and I've had them for 4 years. They move. And so, like I said, all of a sudden, we tend to make up for that in our games with our swings, and there's no need to do that. You just come in, get the lie angles checked, and then it's the same swing, same result.
Is there a timer? Like, is there like a set time? Like, let's say somebody comes in for a driver, but they just can't decide when it takes. Is it going to take 3 hours, or is it just going to be? Do you have like, okay, you have an hour, we got to get this done in an hour type of thing, or or can you schedule like the whole day and work on your whole? Not the whole day. I mean, that's exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like, is it like 3 hours?
Well,
is it 2
if you
hours?
could hit a driver all day,
Yeah.
you might be in the long drive group. But other than that,
The biggest limiting factor is not the clock; it's actually fatigue.
Okay.
Because when you go and you play the typical golf course, you're going to hit driver 14 times.
Right. Right.
When you go to the range before the golf course and you're warming up, you're going to hit driver maybe 20 times. So if you take those 20 and that 14 and you carry the 1, that's a whole lot less than 3 hours worth of swing in the driver. So what happens is fatigue shows up pretty quickly with the driver because that's always the club we swing the hardest. And so a typical driver fitting, we can easily get done in an hour. Okay. And you'll be sweating and you've been working hard and we got really good data. After that hour goes by, we really start to see diminishing returns. All your yardages start to come back. It's not beneficial to you at all.
That makes sense.
If we go too far because you've just swung too many times.
That makes sense.
yeah, absolutely.
I've never been fit, so got to ask these questions.
I'm glad you are.
I got to know what I'm in store for here.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I think we'll bring a wrap to episode 1 of the FORE Podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes coming soon, and stick around for the bonus track at the end of this episode. For the beer fans out there, I think you'll like the banter we had going a little bit on the mics just before the show started. So caught the guys in a little bit of early record, and it's a good little banter, so take a listen. If you'd like us to debate or discuss your topics, we would like to. So send them to me, Greg at theforeshow.com. That's GREG at theforeshow.com. For Eric Miller, Joey Madrid, and special thanks to Doug Montgomery. You just listened to The FORE.
Can we get Stella to get on board?
I got line balls, I got whatever.
I want left hand on board now that you got me hooked.
Have you bought a 6-pack of it yet?
I was going to bring it on the way over here, and Craig goes, I got beer. Okay.
Left hand what?
Milk
kind?
stout.
The milk stout.
That's the best.
Their
Have you tried
nitro?
the nitro? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
nitro
nitro
one's
one.
the best one.
That's incredible.
It's smooth.
Yeah, so
smooth.
And they fill it with the nitro tap, so it's
Yeah.
that same.
I have a hard time drinking that dark beer though in the summertime when it's hot.
I agree.
Like it just when it's cold
concur.
out, super cold winter. Oh man, winter
Yeah.
night.
You good to go?
That's
yeah.
good stuff.
Which is the Moe's that we were drinking, the porter?
No, the left-hand milk stout.
Mm-hmm. Milk stout
Left-hand
nitro.
Oh, I've never even heard of it.
It's
Oh, you'll have some next time I see you. It's unreal.
Nice.
He'll give it to you next time.
No, I'll call my order in advance if you could have that for me next time I come over.
Deal, man. It'll be
I asked him. I was like, what kind of beer are you gonna have tonight? Like,
yeah,
we're getting
that's
picky.
funny.
I was gonna put a 6-pack in a little cooler and bring it over next to me.
Yeah, I was really hoping we were going to have some hams.
I'll bring hams next time.
All right, I'll bring milk stout.
I'll bring hams.
That means you're going to have to bring like a truckload to match what I buy in milk stout.
Yeah, I can get a case for $11.99.
Okay, so if we're going dollar for dollar.
Can we go back to our college days? I'll bring Henry Weinhard's. Get like
Oh, yeah. I forgot
case
about
of that for
stuff.
$2.99.
Yeah.
Henry
Joey, you
wine.
bring the Natty Splatties.
Natty? Oh my god.
What is that?
Natural ice.
Do the ice, yeah.
But it's
Natural
called
ice.
Natty Splatties because of how you feel the next morning.
Or how it sounds the next morning.
It's like $8 a 30-pack. So that's,
That's
enjoy.
So it's that pure water.
It's pure. Oh yeah. Yeah.